Film a video diary of my personal explorations and spiritual explorations, I guess you can say, and philosophies that I've been accumulating for some time in my 27 years of age. And I just had an epiphany today. I know it might be a little bit extra to put myself out there and to do videos and to really just hear myself for once. Once you hear yourself and you hear your voice, you're like, ugh, who's that? Do I really sound like that? Do I really do those mannerisms? But the point is to be so comfortable in the self, because I had this realization just now as I'm writing my tarot scopes, that I feel for some time, or felt for some time, that I had been living besides myself. Like I had been torn into two entities. Like, here's Tatiana, but then here is Tatiana, who also does not reside in me. She is her own entity. She fights for her own cause. She's still an aspect of Tatiana. But what does it mean to be fully whole, to integrate all these spirits and all these energies and all these characteristics of yourself that you tap in at different aspects of your life and different moments of your life, but you never truly fully feel like you're actualizing your full potential, that you're really fully who you are as an energetic spiritual being. I use the word spirit a lot because I feel like it's the all-pervasive energy around. I don't use that context in a religious manner, but I use it in terms of consciousness and really being aware of why we're here, and how the energies operate and how they interact with one another, and what are the causes and effects of that. But it is not until now that I must say that I'm starting to learn how to integrate those beings into one, and I'm starting to understand how they also play a role in my life, how that Tatiana is not dissimilar from this Tatiana. When you break it down, it really dives into the concept of duality and how nothing is really dual, but they're both sides of the same coin. So it takes quite the expanded awareness, the consciousness, I guess you can say, to really get that concept, to really have it be like, it's one thing to read it, and it's one thing to hear it, and it's a completely different other thing to have it really fully digest in your system, and for you to know, not to think, and not to assume, not to be like, oh, I grasp that concept, 1 + 1 = 2, but what does 1 + 1 really equal? 11? And there's so many variants of that. So when I'm saying this division that I didn't understand, I've always kind of placed myself into these divisive, I don't even think that's a word, these separate aspects and components of myself. I'm starting to really have unconditional love for these beings that I've once kind of wanted to separate, whether that be beings of rage, jealousy, inadequacy, unworthiness, insecurities, guilt, fear, anxiety, all these things that we cope as a human, as part of our human experience. It's really fascinating to really dig in deep, and for me to ask myself and to learn about myself above all, why? Like, why am I choosing these reactions, and where did I learn these reactions from, and how do I deplug myself from the matrix so I can become a better version of myself and to operate at a higher frequency for other people around me to also be as equally effective in a positive manner as I would. It really brings me a lot of pleasure and satisfaction to be introspective in that sense, because I feel like, okay, well, it's like a sculptor using a stone as his medium and shaping away as he sees fit. Like, you're also tearing away the layers, the hard shell, so that you can create something ultimately that is really a definition of the vision that you hold in your mind, however that may manifest as. Sometimes it takes time for you to actually see the end result, or to see what kind of vision you had up stored, or when you catch up to your vision, you're like, oh, that's not really what I wanted at the end of the day. let's refine that. Let's kind of take this aspect and take this and take this and take this. I would call myself a very introverted extrovert. I feel like there are parts for me to hide because I don't feel secure all the time about who I am as a being. So um, they, to share myself takes a lot, but I'm also learning about why that is, and not to judge it so much, but to let it be, and to let myself be, and to know who is this entity that has been born. Like, what is this? Like, if I'm observing myself, let's say I put myself out here in this blob in the sky, and I'm looking down, and this blob is like, I'm really Tatiana. You are just a simulation of a computer program we call the universe. And da 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 da. What is she gonna do now? She really likes tarot card readings and belly dancing and foreign things and black men and jerk chicken and all these amazing things in the world, like coffee, love. Anyway, I feel like that's enough ranting, but I've gotta target these things because I write and I write and I write and I write. But it's also important to hear yourself, and it's also important to express yourself in other means and see how your energy is projected in that way, and what you intend to do with that. So maybe you can relate to what I'm expressing, and maybe you have your own thoughts of the same circumstance that can help enlighten me, and vice versa. That's why I do this. So, ashe, blessings.